I was born with blindness, and this is the story of how I climbed Japan's tallest mountain in order to beat Pokemon Gold version on Game Boy.
Hi, I'm James Rath. Now, most kids bonded with Pokemon over battles and trading cards. Me, well, I bonded over it because, being legally blind, I could barely see the real world. But Pokemon, that was a world that I could dive into.
A Game Boy!
You got one.
Yeah, color. A yellow one.
The Game Boy's tiny screen was certainly a challenge, but thanks to the turn-based mechanics of Pokemon, and my trusty magnifying glass that had a light, I had a front row seat to the action. And as a backup, there was the 3D Pokemon games on the Nintendo 64 that allowed you to play your Game Boy games on the TV. Now, Pokemon isn't just a developer's daydream, it's Satoshi Tajiri's love letter to his bug collecting days. He wanted to share his love for nature with the new generation of kids in the 90s growing up with handheld devices. And considering the fact that this is the highest grossing media franchise of all time, yeah, I think he nailed it. To some, Pokemon might just be pixels and a catchy theme song, but for Satoshi and me, they're a bridge to nature and a lesson in never giving up, even if you know that you'll never be able to consistently be an excellent thrower in Pokemon Go. So here I am in Japan, the heartland of Pokemon, as I replay Pokemon Gold version. I've got my eyes, as blurry as they are, set on Mount Fuji. It's not just Japan's poster child, but it's also the real-world inspiration for the ultimate in-game showdown. So, join me as we journey from pixels to peaks and catch a few Pokemon along the way.
So touching down on the runway in just a minute or two after 2:30.
Touchdown at Haneda Airport. Tokyo's lights are so bright that I almost thought I had evolved into seeing clearly. Before we dive deep, let's talk starters. If Pokemon's a mystery to you, well, here's the 151. The 101. Imagine a world where you use tiny balls to catch everything from fierce dragons to ice cream cones. I swear it's cooler than it sounds. Our goal is to become the ultimate Pokemon trainer. Think of this role as being between the mix of a zookeeper and a sports coach. Now, how do we achieve this? Well, it's by entering the Pokemon League and work our way up to becoming the Pokemon League champion. Now, to get there, we're gonna have to beat the gym leaders. They're like the gatekeepers to the Pokemon world. And of course, we've got the Pokedex. Today, there's an app for that, but back in the day, well, it was a whole separate gadget. Simpler times. This is Wrath, Trainer Wrath. First order of business, reminding my mom of the date and time, because she's got the memory of a Magikarp sometimes. Professor Elm, the local Pokemon expert and a fellow non-driver, he needs a favor. He's got this Pokemon egg that he wants, but it's a couple of towns over. And since he's apparently allergic to, well, doing things on his own, he sends me, a kid, to do his errands. But hey, at least he's offering me a Pokemon for protection, right? Our choices are Chikorita, the grass type, Cyndaquil, the fire type, or Totodile, the water type. Before I chose which starter, I saw an opportunity. In order to mirror my real-life adventures here in Japan, as well as my digital ones as Trainer Wrath, what better place to kick things off than at the Pokemon Center in Shibuya? When I came across a bin of Pokeballs with mystery Pokemon in them, I had to choose one. Specifically one that had Pokemon from Johto, the region that we are exploring in Pokemon Gold and Silver. And what was inside this mystery Pokeball? Well, it was Totodile. So back in the game, I chose Totodile. This was actually pretty fitting because back in the day, Totodile was the very first starter that I chose when I first played through Pokemon Gold and Silver. So while running Professor Elm's errand, we passed through Cherry Grove City. There's an old man who says, "This is the sea, as you can see." Yeah, not all of us can see that well, buddy. Up north, we meet Mr. Pokemon. That's like having the last name Animal. Mr. Animal. He hands over the mystery egg for Professor Elm. He also happens to have another visitor, Professor Oak. He's the OG Pokemon professor, the one who's in charge of giving us the Pokedex. So just as things are going pretty smoothly, Professor Elm calls, panicking. Apparently there is some kind of situation at the lab. Heading back, I bumped into this red-haired kid. He's got more angst than a 2000s emo band. We battle and his Chikorita just doesn't stand a chance against my Totodile, Fuji. Back at the lab, there's some drama. A Pokemon's been stolen, and the only clue, there was some red hair by the window. Yeah, guess who's the prime suspect? When questioned about his identity with the police, seeing if I got his name, well, I could have done what I did as a kid and put question mark, question mark, question mark. This time around, I tipped off the name Eli. My buddy Elijah Pizik. It's always fun to beat him in video games. As we get on with our journey, we head towards Violet City. I catch a Bellsprout, named her Victoria, and little did I know she's basically Pokemon royalty here. They've even got a whole tower dedicated to her. Inside the city's gym, we're gonna battle Faulkner. He's all about flying Pokemon. Now, some say that he's a cheater because he's got this level 9 Pidgeotto, but I've seen those in Viridian Forest. If you play Pokemon Yellow, you know.
I gotta charge the console. Whoops.
With Fuji leading the charge, we snag our first gym badge.
Okay, first gym is done. 15 more to go. Also gotta pack real quick because we're leaving Tokyo tomorrow and I'm going to Kyoto.
As we start heading throughout the region of Johto, we head towards the Union Cave. We bump into a Sandshrew and I named him Sandals. Now, as I'm getting pretty nostalgic here playing this Game Boy game, we're hopping onto the Shinkansen, the bullet train. We're talking 0 to Kyoto in just a couple of hours. Amtrak could never. No offense, Amtrak. Still love you. Mainly because you're the only option, and I have to. Zooming into Azalea Town, it's basically the Slowpoke capital of the world. These guys are hailed as rainmakers. All they have to do is yawn. So enter Kurt, the town's Pokeball craftsman. But there's some drama at Slowpoke Well. Team Rocket's back, and they're in the tail business. Yep, they're snipping Slowpoke tails for a quick buck, and not on my watch. If you're unfamiliar with Team Rocket,
they're your average Saturday morning cartoon villains, but they're also inspired by the Yakuza and Mafia, which gives them this sinister undertone.
we show them to the door, but there's this twist. Fuji, my Totodile, is ready to evolve. But you know, I've kind of grown attached to the little guy. With one single press of the B button, we deny the evolution opportunity for Fuji the Totodile. So why isn't Fuji evolving? Well, here's the thing. Traveling with blindness might seem a little unconventional to some, but isn't life all about breaking the mold? And so for this Pokemon team, I wanted to kind of break that mold again. While on the Shinkansen, we are zipping past the scenic views of Mount Fuji. And at the same time, it's time for another gym battle. This is Bugsy. He's a bug enthusiast. And let me tell you, it was smooth sailing until Scyther showed up. No fire, no flying types, just pure hope. And let's just say hope took a little vacation. After a constant streak of defeats from Bugsy, as a Pokemon pro like me, it was definitely a slice of humble pie. Now, I could have taken an easy route here and gone back into Union Cave and snagged myself a Geodude or an Onix, but no. I was too stubborn and determined to win this badge with the 3 Pokemon that I had already bonded with. We even had a little showdown with Eli, or as I like to call him, the discount Elijah Pizik. But then, like a light bulb moment, I realized the strategy was right under Fuji's snout the whole time, the move Rage. Now, Rage might not be the talk of the town in today's Pokemon world, but back in Gold and Silver, it was like having a cheat code. With a little patience and Fuji channeling in his inner toddler tantrum, probably because I didn't let him evolve, he unleashed a barrage of rage on Bugsy's bugs, securing our second badge. Yeah, that was definitely a lot easier than I made it out to be. Kyoto was next on our real-world itinerary. Of course, the first thing I did was hike a mountain with actual wild monkeys, not mankeys. Afterwards, I relaxed by paddle boating on a river and soaking in those tranquil vibes of Kyoto. Meanwhile, in the digital realm, Trainer Wrath strolled through a forest leading to Goldenrod City, Johto's answer to New York. And guess what? Tomorrow we're hitting up Osaka, the real-world inspiration for Goldenrod.
So we're at gym number 3. Gym number 2 gave me a lot of struggle with that Scyther, and my team was not quite ready for it. So we're just going into this. I trained up a little bit going prior, and I know this milk tank that Whitney has is a showstopper for many players.
Before hitting that Shinkansen the next morning, we squared off against the notoriously tough gym leader, Whitney. My strategy? Well, no fancy footwork, just some good old-fashioned brute force. Victoria took the lead against her Clefairy. Victoria not only took down Clefairy, but also managed to give Whitney's milk tank a run for its money. Sandal stepped in and taking a hit to ensure both he and Victoria got a share of the experience pie. After our victory, Whitney had a mini meltdown. I guess she wasn't expecting a legally blind trainer to outmaneuver her. Yeah, note to Whitney. Check your ableism at the door and hand over that badge next time. The next morning started with a little surprise. While I was getting a little too acquainted with the bidet, Victoria decided it was time to evolve into a Weeping Bell. Speaking of bells, I think it's time to wrap up in this bathroom and kickstart our day. Bidet. It's great. The next challenge, well, it's a fake tree that's apparently is not a fan of impromptu showers. Arriving in Osaka. It's like Tokyo, but you can expect just a tad more personal space. And this is great for my white cane especially. Here, I met a fellow visually impaired YouTuber, but from Japan. Meet Yuka, from Vision with You. She's an important voice for the blind community, sharing resources and her experiences with vision loss here in Japan. One of my favorite things about traveling is just meeting fellow visually impaired advocates from across the world. From Kyoto's vibrant streets to Eckerteak's pixel pathways. As we get into this next city, it's like I've taken a step back in time, but of course with slightly lower resolution. In Pokemon, it's totally normal to stroll into someone's house and, well, read their diaries or history books, in this case. Towers, legendary beasts. Yeah, I think Eckerteak's got some lore. Now, as any good Pokemon trainer should do, you gotta make your pit stops at the Pokemon Center, make sure your Pokemon are healed, and you're ready for the next challenge within your adventure. At Eckerteak's Pokemon Center, we ran into Bill. This guy's like a tech guru who turns my Pokemon into digital data. Yeah, I just hope he's got that premium cloud plan. We backtracked to catch up with Bill at his house in Goldenrod City. There, he actually provides us with a pretty cool Pokemon, Eevee. So, meet Evan, the Eevee. Eevee's this cool Pokemon with multiple evolutions across a variety of different types. And speaking of upgrades and evolutions, let me get right to the point. Sandals just evolved into Sandslash. On our way back to Eckerteak City, we passed through the national park, where they happen to be holding a bug catching contest. With Evan the Eevee on my side, we ended up winning the entire competition because a wild Scyther appeared. After getting some trauma from Bugsy's Scyther, this one's getting a one-way ticket to the cloud. Enjoy the digital timeout, buddy. In between game sessions, I was sightseeing all throughout Kyoto. From catching bugs to savory bites, I had to try this Millennium in a mouthful. This mochi shop is over 1,000 years old, and it's definitely a must visit if you're going to Kyoto. After some millennium old mochi, I visited Kyoto's Golden Pavilion. This is a pretty historic temple, and it's actually one of the inspirations behind Pokemon Gold version. In the past, it has burned, but it was reconstructed. As we continue to play the game and we visit the Burn Tower, while we're also in real life visiting the Golden Pavilion, we come across Eli, battling amidst such history. Let's just hope we don't disturb any ancient spirits. Deep within the tower though, there are legends that are resting. We'll come back here shortly. In order to help with my Mount Fuji climb, while still in Kyoto, I decided to take a unconventional lesson. That was in ninja skills. I took a ninja class. Don't know if it's actually practical, but it was a ton of fun. While I get back to the hotel, we're gonna switch gears back to the Pixel realm. Evan the Eevee, although an underdog, had a bit of a glow up. He went toe-to-toe with each of his evolutions at the dance studio, run by the fabulous Kimono Sisters. As a reward, we got the move Surf, which not only lets us sail the 7 seas, but it also gives Fuji the Totodile his water groove back because yeah, I might have gotten a little too trigger happy with the A button, and I accidentally made him forget the move Water Gun. So he's been without water. Next on the agenda, Eckerteak's gym leader, Morty. This guy's all about ghost stories and, well, ghost-type Pokemon. But here's the twist. His spooky squad also happen to have a vulnerability, and that is their poison sidekick, Enter Sandals, who turned the gym into his personal sandbox, earning us our 4th badge. Halfway through Johto already. Now, I felt like it was time to add some new faces to our team. With our newfound surfing skills, I decided to backtrack all the way to Violet City. Victoria, now in her incognito Weeping Bell mode, helped us sneak into the Union Cave. And guess who we found on Fridays? It was Lapras, the Loch Ness Monster's distant cousin, chilling and advocating for a 4-day work week. Say hello to Lapala, the Lapras. She's a tanky addition that our team desperately needed. Fast forward the next day, and we're on the Shinkansen, Tokyo bound. To kill time, Trainer Wrath hit up Goldenrod's game corner. And guess what? Lady Luck was on my side. After racking over 2,000 coins, I traded them all in for a dragon, Dratini. This elusive dragon usually plays hard to get, but in Goldenrod, all you need is a little bit of luck and maybe a gambling habit. Say hello to Draylon. Not every trainer is willing to mark their calendar for a Friday date with Lapras or spend hours on the slots just for a Dratini. I've always been the one to take the path less traveled, or maybe it's just because I couldn't see the other paths. Back in Eckerteak, there's some unfinished business at the Burn Tower. And this time, rise and shine, legendary beasts. And no more snooze button for you. Off they go. And speaking of rare encounters, look who's here. It's Pokemon YouTuber, Birdkeeper Toby. Moving on. Welcome to Olivine City, where the ocean's breeze meets a lighthouse crisis. As we ascend, battling what seems to be an endless parade of trainers, we stumble upon Jasmine. She's comforting a poorly Ampharos, the usual lighthouse luminary. Seems like our adventure just got a new side quest. After agreeing to fetch a specific medicine from an island pharmacy, we set sail. Well, I was up very late, and I decided to set my alarms and lay down finally after doing a lot of packing. And then as soon as I'm just beginning to close my eyes, alarms are going off from my phone and the other phone and the iPad, screaming earthquake, and everything starts shaking. So I guess that was a wake-up call for Tokyo. Wish I had gotten some sleep before it. Now, while many trainers might get sidetracked by a local gym leader on this island, I've got my priorities straight. Sick Pokemon? We're gonna dash right back to Olivine City. Jasmine, who also happens to be a gym leader, is grateful for our help. She challenges us with her formidable Steel-type Pokemon. Our team, harmonious and determined, rises to the occasion, leveling up Draylen in the process. Every so often, Fuji gives me these puppy dog eyes, hinting at an evolution, but with a swift press of the B button, we ride our trusty Totodile back to Cianwood City. There, we square off against the gym leader, who I've affectionately dubbed Not So Chuck Norris, securing our 6th badge. Currently, I'm cozied up in a capsule hotel. And yeah, it's unique to say the least, but it offers the perfect opportunity to dive deeper into my Pokemon journey. Venturing east in Johto, we spot a Gyarados, but wait, yep, that's red. Last I checked, the Pokedex told me it was blue. Team Rocket's meddling again. Now, after dealing with this miscolored Gyarados, we encounter Lance, the Cape Crusader of my childhood. Where in the world of Johto are the police? Now, determined to set things right, we delve into Team Rocket's lair, putting an end to their mischief here in Mahogany Town. And afterwards, we're able to face off against Price, Johto's coolest gym leader. Our team doesn't just break the ice, but we shatter it. With our victory, there's no need to haggle over the price of our 7th badge. As we leave the gym, suddenly Professor Elm rings us with news that Team Rocket's back. A little late on that, buddy. But they've apparently hijacked the Goldenrod radio tower. With local police seemingly on a coffee break, it falls on me, a mere preteen, to crash Team Rocket's unsanctioned party and eliminate them. In a Pokemon battle, of course. In the midst of the chaos, Eli makes an appearance, probably to question life choices after, yet another loss to me. I mean, come on, Eli. Embracing a thief's life? There's no jail in Johto, I get it, but maybe there's some kind of self-help group or something. Now, amidst these high-stake battles, a moment of beauty occurred. Draylen, our Dratini, gracefully evolved into a Dragonair. Honestly, probably one of my favorite Pokemon designs. After heroically rescuing the radio tower's director from a most unexpected of hideouts, Team Rocket just tied up the dude and threw him into a department store's back room. He rewards us with the fabled Rainbow Wing. Whispered tales suggest that this feather is a relic from the legendary Pokemon Ho-Oh, a guardian of Eckerteak skies. With some curiosity piqued, we return to Eckerteak, aiming to validate the legends. At the Tin Tower, a phoenix awaits. Through a labyrinth of challenges, we ascend to its pinnacle. It's at the top of the tower that the Rainbow Wing vibrates, with energy summoning the legendary Ho-Oh. In a twist of fate, this magnificent creature is captured using just a humble Pokeball.
Ho! Called Ho-Oh in a Pokeball. In a Pokeball. Not even sleep. Paralysis. And my man Fuji.
Howie the Ho-Oh joins our journey. Yeah, but he didn't see that this was going to be his life. But every team has its limits. Pokemon Protocol dictates a maximum of 6 companions. And while Johto's police seem to be perpetually MIA, I'm not about to flout the rules. A heart-wrenching choice is upon us. Evan the Eevee. Despite our shared escapades, you haven't quite warmed up to me. Maybe it's not me, maybe it's him. For now, Evan's off to the digital retreat in the PC. It's less of a farewell and more of a gotta catch you later. Armed with Ho-Oh's soaring wings, we're now jet-setting across Johto with ease. Our compass points towards Blackthorn City, a place where dragons aren't just myths, but a way of life. And it's home to the fierce dragon-type specialist, Claire. Now, although we have the legendary Howie, the Ho-Oh, I decide that he's more of a fly guy and less of a battler. When the showdown with Claire begins, it's a collective effort. Sandals, Draylin, Victoria, Lapala, and the ever-loyal Totodile, Fuji, all play their parts. But the real MVP? It's gotta be Lapala, with her eerie Parish song. As the countdown from her song ticks away, we swap to Fuji, in securing our 8th gym badge. Or at least that was the plan. Claire, not quite ready to admit defeat, sends us on a detour to the Dragon's Den, tasking us with retrieving the Dragon Fang. Knowing that we're a legally blind trainer, maybe she's trying to test out our ability to sniff out objects. She probably lost it herself and is now having me do the dirty work, but I also just think she's a sore loser. Either way, after navigating the den and securing the Fang, Claire finally hands over the badge we rightfully earned. With our badge collection complete, it's back to square one, New Barktown. There, Professor Elm has a surprise, a Master Ball. The ultimate catch-all. This one's going in the vault for a special occasion. Before we tackle the league, there's a little detour we need to make in Goldenrod. You see, there's a gentleman with a particular set of skills, helping to nickname Pokemon. While I know that we've all grown attached to the nicknames of the team, there's a slight tweak that we need to make. And you see, Fuji was just simply a surname for Totodile. Drumroll. Introducing Tony. Tony Fuji, the Totodile. With our naming conventions in harmony, it's back on the main quest. Our journey takes us east of home, where we dip our toes into the nostalgic waters of the Kanto region, the setting of the original Pokemon games. As we spar with trainers and navigate the twists of Victory Road, Eli, ever so persistent, challenges us once more, hoping to prove his mettle before the elite. Well, let's just say he's not quite elite material yet. Now, while the temptation to use our legendary Howie is strong, I'm also a believer in redemption arcs. Evan or Eevee, you get another shot. Swapping places for Howie for some quality training time. Maybe we'll see an evolution soon. As we reach the Pokemon League, we're up against the Elite Four. And this isn't just a challenge, it's a marathon. There's no exits, no shortcuts. You're in a gauntlet until you win or lose, relying solely on the supplies that you've packed. Our first elite challenge is against Will and his mind-bending psychic Pokemon. And well, yeah, they gave us a reality check. It's clear that I've got more grinding to do. And through it all, Evan remains a little distant. But hey, love's a two-way street, right? As fate would have it, my ascent up Mount Fuji hits a weather snag, granting me some unexpected gaming hours. Maybe a silver lining. On our rematch with the Elite Four, our squad is now seasoned and leveled up beyond 40. First, we tackle Will, setting the tone for our winning streak. Then came Koga, the ninja who traded shadows for the spotlight. But even his sneaky tactics couldn't shield him from our onslaught, especially when Evan stepped up and delivered the final blow to Mach. Up next was Bruno, the martial arts master with a roster of fighting-type Pokemon, and an odd affection for a certain rock snake. Now, we may not have had the type advantage, but we made up for that with our strategy of status-type moves, and of course with Tony Fuji the Totodile, finishing that rock snake. Now, lastly of the Elite Four, before the champion, we had Karen, the Dark-type specialist. She gives me quite the run for my money. Her Houndoom is a force to be reckoned with, but Lapala's Parish Song strategy pulls us through, and unlike some sore losers, Claire, Karen exits with grace, leaving us with words to ponder. Strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon. That is only the selfish perception of people. Truly skilled trainers should try to win with their favorites. I like your style. You understand what's important. Go on. The champion is waiting. And yeah, taking those words to heart was very much what I was trying to do this time around. I've never really considered Pokemon like Bellsprout or Lapras my favorite, but they're cool, and I've definitely grown more appreciative of them throughout this adventure. And there he is, the man with the flair for dramatic capes, Lance. He might call himself a Dragon Master, but to me, he's just a glorified bird keeper. Toby, is that you? Our team shines against Lance's aerial Pokemon, which includes Gyarados, Aerodactyl, Charizard, and a trio of Dragonites. I gotta say, Evan and Tony Fuji step up with some memorable moves, but it's actually Lapala's Icy Onslaught that seals the deal. And just like that, we're inducted into the Hall of Fame. And not with the usual roster, but with our unique offbeat team, with quite a few non-evolved Pokemon. But hold the applause. Our journey isn't over. Kanto's still waiting, and we're ready to conquer. Setting sail from Johto, our next stop was Kanto's Vermilion City, a mirror of Japan's Yokohama. Regrettably, my real-world journey didn't take me there, and I was even going to miss the Pokemon World Championships this upcoming summer. But my eyes are set on a different prize, conquering the off-season climb of Mount Fuji. That's where these two adventures will peak. Kanto, the nostalgic heartland of the original Pokemon games. Here, they may have trimmed on some content, but it's a walk down memory lane. We squared off against the region's 8 gym leaders, each with revamped teams. And, surprise surprise, a couple of new faces joined the roster. Our battles in Kanto were more than just badge collecting. They were a vital training, forging our team into a formidable force. Victoria blossomed into the fearsome Victory Bell.
It's finally happening. Eevee, Evan, the Eevee, I guess finally has warmed up to me, after everything we've been through. I wasn't even filming, so I picked up the camera. I didn't think twice that this was going to happen,
And Evan, after what felt like an eternity, he finally showed some affection, evolving into the mystic, feline-esque, psychic Pokemon, Espeon. As the sun casts its golden hue, his evolution added depth to our team, but boy, did he test my patience. The Kanto gym leaders, including Lieutenant Surge, Erica, Sabrina, Koga's successor and daughter Janine, and the tomboyish mermaid Misty, threw down the gauntlet. Yet with strategy and teamwork, we clinched 5 out of these 8 badges already. Amidst our gym challenges, we tackled a power crisis and a rogue Team Rocket operative. But the real surprise was stumbling upon a dozing Snorlax, a behemoth at level 50, blocking our path. With a serenade from our radio, we roused the giant from its slumber. For those of you not in the know about Pokemon's competitive scene, Snorlax is the stuff of legends in Generation 2. This behemoth might not be the quickest off the mark, but it packs a punch, shrugs off hits like they're nothing, and rejuvenates with a quick nap. Truly, Snorlax embodies the monster in Pocket Monster. But in keeping with our offbeat team strategy, we opt not to catch it. Instead, we use this encounter as a pivotal training moment. Tony Fuji, against the odds, delivers a super effective knockout dynamic punch, a move with just a coin flip's chance of landing. Our journey then takes us to Pewter City, where we square off against the iconic gym leader Brock. The battle is swift, as Brock's team has a glaring vulnerability to grass and water types. Victoria and Tony Fuji make quick work of his squad, earning us the Boulder Badge. With only 2 badges left in Kanto, we head south on the road to Viridian City. But surprise, the gym's deserted. However, a nearby training facility introduces us to a character named Cal, a spitting image of ourselves. Did Mom forget to mention we have a twin? Regardless, we get some great training in, as Cal has level 50 Pokemon, and those are the 3 final evolutions of the 3 Johto starters that we were introduced to at the very beginning. After besting Cal, our journey continues. We then reach the remnants of Cinnabar Island, a place steeped in lore from Generation 1, once a hub of both gym battles and an eerie Pokemon experiment.
Nope, I know how this ends.
It's now a shadow of its former self, ravaged by a volcanic eruption. It's here where we bump into Pokemon Trainer Blue, the popular yet snarky rival from the original games. He informs us that he is Viridian City's absent gym leader before jetting off, but instead of tailing him, we're drawn to the Seafoam Islands. Here, it's where we find a makeshift gym within a cave, and that's where the displaced gym leader Blaine from Cinnabar Island is currently resting. His fiery team is no match for us, and we secure our 7th Kanto badge. With that done, it's time to chase down Blue and receive our 16th total badge. Back on the road to Viridian City we go. Now, look, I know I'm legally blind, but I could not have been the first person to mistake this place for Legoland, right? Regardless, we squared off against our final gym challenge, Blue, with a diverse team of fully evolved powerhouses. He seemed unbeatable, and yeah, initially he was. We tasted defeat, stepped on a few Legos on the way out, which arguably hurt worse. With my scheduled ascent of Mount Fuji looming, time was of the essence. Juggling physical prep work and leveling up my team was a daunting task. I genuinely feared I wouldn't reach the game's pivotal moment before the climb. As Trainer Wrath, I ventured northward for rigorous training and crossed paths with Eli at Mount Moon. Another intense showdown ensued, but our track record against our rival remained spotless. Eli, introspective, post-defeat, vowed to nurture a deeper bond with his Pokemon. A noble sentiment, but I couldn't help thinking, you've still got a debt to society, buddy. With our confidence bolstered, we took on Blue again. The battle was a roller coaster, with Lapala missing a crucial Icy Wind attack right from the start. But as the dust settled, it boiled down to Blue's Arcanine versus our Tony Fuji in a David vs. Goliath moment. Our little Totodile triumphed with a Surf attack. And with that, badge number 16 was ours. But victory against Blue was just the final stretch of our long trial. Our ultimate challenge loomed large, and we had a single shot at glory. We revisited the Elite Four, not just for the challenge, but to hone our skills further. Amidst these battles, I reminisced about our adventures and the iconic landmarks that we explored. The Golden Pavilion flashed in my mind, reminding me of the legendary beasts of the Burn Tower. My team, though formidable, it lacked a certain spark. I've always had a soft spot for electric types, especially Jolteon, but fate had other plans. And Evan evolved before we could snag a Thunderstone for that Jolteon transformation. But this is why in hindsight, it all worked out. The history of the Burn Tower is steeped in gloom. It's said that within the charred walls, 3 nameless Pokemon met their end, but from tragedy arose hope, as Ho-Oh's grace rebirthed them into the formidable trio that we know today, Entei, Suicune, and Raikou. Now, while Crystal, the director's cut version of this game, practically hands you Suicune on a silver platter, Entei was popular enough to get his own theatrical film. Raikou has always been elusive. It's just that electric thundercloud that meets saber-toothed tiger design that always made me feel like this Pokemon was a winner. In my travels across Johto, I've crossed paths with Entei and Suicune more times than I can count. But Raikou, yeah, I was like trying to find a needle in a haystack, or in my case, being blind, just trying to find out what's in front of me more than 5 feet away. After some perseverance, I finally cornered this majestic beast. I knew I had one shot, with the weight of my impending Mount Fuji climb pressing on me. I decided it was time to use the Master Ball, and so, Ryan the Raikou was christened, adding a spark to our team. As for the lineup, well, decisions had to be made. Evan decided to cash in on his PTO. It's not a farewell, it's a see you later. Okay, now that he's boxed, unfortunately it is for the rest of the adventure.
But tomorrow's the day, finally. If weather and everything is just gonna work out for us. Hopefully. Been waiting for this for a while. 3 reschedules and been waiting to do this since I was honestly a kid. So having to extend my Japan stay beyond April and then beyond like the first 2 weeks of May, it's been a long time coming, but it's time to get a decent night's sleep. I'm not gonna say great night's sleep, because that's a little nervous, but I'm also a little excited.
Back in Pallet Town, where many of us kicked off our Pokemon journeys, and we got our first taste of responsibility by choosing a starter. We dropped by Professor Oak's lab, and he's pretty stoked about our Kanto Gym Badge collection. So stoked, in fact, that he gives us the green light to venture to Mount Silver. Packed with optimism, and maybe overstocked on potions, we start our ascent west of the Pokemon League. Mount Silver isn't just a hike, but it's home to many powerful wild Pokemon. But that just means more training for us. As we push through, I realize the real Mount Fuji climb is tomorrow. Sleep? Well, who needs it when there's training to do, right? I continue to level up our team near Mount Silver's core, save our progress, and I just pray that the real world climb is free of Zubat and Golbat. After a rejuvenating soak in the capsule's hotel onsen and a comforting bowl of late night ramen, my nerves were still on edge. 5 a.m. arrived all too quickly, and shortly after came Quinn from the YouTube channel Go North Japan. In partnership with Kanto Adventures, he was set to be my guide. Our mission, to navigate Japan's tallest mountain during its most challenging season, complete with rock falls and unpredictable weather. This was the promise I made to my 11-year-old self, merging this digital adventure into the real-world challenge. Here I go. As we drove out of Tokyo, the weight of the day ahead began to truly sink in.
Came to Starbucks a little too early, apparently, for Japan.
Most would be concerned about facing such a day with no sleep. But I'll be honest, some of my most memorable moments have happened under similar circumstances. And somehow, that gave me a strange sense of comfort. but it was probably just the caffeine jitters.
Okay.
You got a family mart?
Let's stop at this family road over here.
Cool. The trail that we're doing is
Fujinomiya, it's called.
Oh, okay. Fuji
Fuji, and then no, like the possessive, and Miya, like
Miya.
I guess castle
Miya.
is one weird way of interpreting it. Fujinomiya.
Okay, cool.
But pulling up to the 5th station of Mount Fuji. From here, no more vehicles. It's just you, your belongings, and your ability to walk or crawl. And of course, sunscreen. This albino does not have enough melanin for how close to the sun I'll be getting. It was go time.
Perfect. And now the first like 15 minutes is kind of like, up this gravel, and then it'll be a little less steep. So, this is James.
All right, we're here. It's finally happening. I was afraid this day would not come with all the bad weather, but we made it.
Now remember, Mount Fuji is usually a bustling hiking hotspot from July to September. But here, we are in mid-May, way ahead of the recommended hiking season.
There's some rocks here, and this is just going to be kind of annoying to go up this the first little bit. There's a little rock there.
But hey, I'm Trainer Wrath with 16 badges and Professor Oak's nod of approval. We're gonna do this. Okay, yeah, that was a little bit cheesy, but
To be honest, the gravel slipped your too.
Yeah, this way I can just feel for where that is and then make my way kind of around it or make that call.
now you may be wondering, how's a visually impaired guy like me gonna navigate this? Well, Quinn, despite being a pro at guiding, has never really guided someone with blindness before. But he could have fooled me, because honestly, he was still a champ. He was my eyes, giving detailed descriptions, pointing out rocks, and guiding me verbally. Plus, I had my white cane. It's like my personal ground radar, sending tactile vibes up to my hand, helping me to gauge the terrain, even though everything in my sight is overly exposed, shaking, and blurry. The ominous fog set a tense mood of uncertainty as we hiked far and wide up these tall, zigzagging slopes. You could occasionally hear a voice or a sound in the distance, and I wanted to believe it was just a fellow hiker or an animal. One that is no more than a quarter my size, of course, but the atmosphere really makes you second guess yourself. Or maybe that's just the altitude sickness starting to kick in. Quinn, being the seasoned hiker that he is, he seemed to have this turbo mode. There were moments where I thought I might be misplacing my hiker on the mountain. Not really the most ideal thing for a blind guy. But it was mainly for him checking the surrounding areas ahead of time and being sure that he can navigate me through all these different rock slides. As I hustled the best I could to keep up, my feet weren't the most thrilled. Due to a last-minute boot swap, I ended up with a pair that were a smidge too tight, and the result? Blisters on both backs of my heels. But hey, no pain, no gain, right? Making our way to the 6th station, we crossed paths with some local hikers. Now for me, this was a monumental journey, years in the making. But for them, well, for some of them it was just another day's hike. It's funny how one person's epic quest is just another person's morning routine. And just when I was considering shedding some weight from my pack, looking at you, pesky helmet, I stumbled upon a sign. Using the zoom capabilities of my phone and some text-to-speech, it read,
"Caution, falling rocks."
Alright, yep, helmet, you win this round. Reaching a height where the clouds were beneath us was indescribable. I took a moment and a deep breath. And I just let it all sink in.
Made it to the 6th station. Quite a few more to go.
Mount Fuji, I'm here. And I'm ready. Even if I can't see all of you.
We just reached the 6th station here, and this is where it gets interesting. This is a much rockier path with wooden steps and rocks, and so there's gonna be more obstacles that we're both gonna have to take care of.
But here's the thing. Summiting on the first go, especially off-season, was always a lofty goal. The real aim was to climb as high as possible, feel the wind in my face, and play Pokemon Gold's final showdown above the world.
Well, a little bit farther ahead. There you go. Good. There.
Quinn and I briefly bonded, these two young men who were hiking up the mountain at a similar pace.
How do you feel?
Accomplished. Good so far.
Nice work.
We managed to reach the 7th station, and although they called for clear conditions on the mountains,
Maybe it's a light hail.
as we predicted, it's unpredictable. Now that I can actually review the footage, yeah, that's snow.
How high up are we?
We're just below 3,000 meters. We're at like 2,970-ish.
What's that in feet?
Oh God, I have no idea. I'm gonna have to ask.
That's about 9,700 feet for all my niche American viewers.
Still on our way to 8th station. 8th. Eating. Think about food right now. Heart's racing. A lot. We're so at this. Let's catch my breath real quick. Okay.
Though it is slow progress, he's doing a fantastic job, given that he's got, 5 to 10% of the vision that I have. And so he's got a feel ahead of him, even with me directing some of the time on what way to go. He's also still got to feel the height of each step that he's taken.
Yeah.
It's not really a place to sit or rest. Even places are going.
We have a choice here. We're at the new 7th station, or the higher of the 7th stations. The conditions aren't great. Probably not going to go to the summit, but if we can get to the 8th station, that's 10,000 feet, which kind of feels like a victory to me. What do you think?
In the original Pokemon Gold and Silver games, our final opponent waits for us deep within Mount Silver. Not quite at the summit like in the remakes that came out a decade later in 2009. So as I mentioned before, I was content with not summiting, but rather going as far as I possibly can in order to hear this climb through.
All right, so this is still 7th station, right?
Yeah, there's like 2 7th. There's like the new and the old.
That's how they get you.
I'll show you on the map real quick.
As we got higher, we began running into even more fellow hikers.
1042去年で。
なんで富士山こんなに登りますか?
My bad friend call me Chatbox. 実川さん、名人。
Yeah, so he knows Mr. Fuji. His name is Jitsukawa, the guy who's hiked Mount Fuji more than 2,000 times, but he's already over 1,000. So this is one of the holy trinity of Mount Fuji, him and another guy. So Saito-san, one of the famous hikers of Mount Fuji.
私はジェームスさん。
James. So also easy to remember. James.
As I persevered through these conditions, I still remained grateful to be here. Before this trip, I had actually watched a few travel content creators like Currently Hannah and Quinn from Go North Japan. And to be able to work alongside the talent that is Currently Hannah on my travel show to document the beautiful and surprisingly accessible country that is Japan, well, that was an absolute blast. And of course today, as I'm reaching new heights in my life, to be guided by someone so patient, knowledgeable, and compassionate as Quinn, well, that was more than I could have asked for. So I just wanted to take a moment to thank Hannah for the time spent while filming my show, and of course here on this mountain with Quinn, who's helping to achieve a childhood dream. It's people like them that motivate me to be the very best version of myself, like no one ever was. Sorry.
Curious to know just how active is Mount Fuji, and Mount Fuji is classified as an active volcano. It's a stratovolcano, as are most in Japan. And the most recent eruption was in 1706, I believe, to 1707, about thereabouts. And that was not out of the top, but rather out of this southeastern side. And it formed a crater, which we can't see right now because of all these clouds. But I believe it's called Mount Hoei, is the what they gave to this extra little dollop that came out with that. And if it erupts again soon-ish, which who knows, it may, though there's no real signs of it in the very, very short term, but they're saying it's likely to go off the west side, the other side of the mountain from what we're hiking it now. This is the Fujinomiya trailhead, and we're hiking up from the southeast. It's a big step. You don't need to take that big a step. Yeah, you can go up from there, yeah. Okay. Good, and then once you're on this level, come straight across towards me, and we'll walk right up here. Right here.
It's what I dreamed of as a kid. It's what I dreamed of every night. You can hold me down, but I won't stop. Gonna push myself right to the top, and nothing's ever gonna drag me down. I'm on my way. As I go, you can follow. I know the steps to lead me home. So here I go.
It's been pretty steady rain. Wasn't in the forecast, but with mountains, you can never tell.
I'm breaking ground, horizons now. So bright. Ended up here after running. After they said I shouldn't try.
How you feeling?
I'm pretty good.
But I landed right where I need to. Up so high. You can hold me down, but I won't stop. Gonna push myself right to the top, and nothing's ever gonna drag me down. I'm on my way. As I go, you can follow. I know the steps to lead me home. So here I go.
I just passed a guy who said that at the 9th station, from there, it's blue skies.
I'm reveling in this view, and there's something inside of you, that's waiting for you to follow where it's guiding you. Those dreams that you buried down, bring them all up now. So you can hold me down, but I won't stop. Gonna push myself right to the top, and nothing's ever gonna drag me down. I'm on my way. As I go, you can follow. I know the steps to lead me home. So here I go. Here I go.
All right. This is it. We're at the level of the 8th station, 10,000 feet.
Wow.
What a morning.
Welcome to Japan.
A Game Boy.
You got one.
Yeah. What color? A yellow one. I think it is.
This was it. At 1 p.m., we made it to the 8th station. The time that we have here is limited so that we can descend safely before dusk. Without any further ado, I pulled out the 3DS with Pokemon Gold, and I booted up from where I left off. As I walk into the deepest accessible part of Mount Silver, there stands Trainer Red. Red's Pokemon are nearly 20 to 30 levels ahead of ours. But we've come this far. There's no way I was backing from this now. As I initiated the battle with Trainer Red, I anticipated having a hard time seeing the screen due to the sunlight and glare. However, I didn't account for my phone's camera being unable to capture the battle. But then, a miracle happened.
Oh, hello again, you two. I thought you were ahead of us.
A couple of youthful hikers that we had met at the start of our hike had actually made it up to the 8th station. They were intrigued by me playing Pokemon Gold, 10,000 feet high.
Can I see your Pokemon? Sure. Oh, Kairi.
And when they realized I was going up against Trainer Red,
Yeah. Can you win? I'm gonna try.
they already understood the challenge I was facing. While they were spectating the early turns of this match, they tried assisting by holding my phone and shielding my not-so-water-resistant 3DS from the sudden snow flurries. But then, the best possible scenario occurred. These hikers were here to set up camp for the evening. They had intended to spend the night on the mountain to catch the sunrise at the summit, and they had access to the emergency hut here on the 8th station. The Japanese hiker offered the space in the hut for better visibility and to stay dry. I gladly accepted. But in order to capture this battle successfully from start to finish, I resetted the game and I initiated the battle one last time. This was the final battle, spanning both Mount Silver and Mount Fuji. Final battle.
Final battle?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, red. Red, I know. Oh my.
Red sends out his Pikachu, as we, as Wrath, send out our very own electric type, Ryan the Raikou. Ryan uses Flash to lower Pikachu's accuracy, while Red's Pikachu uses Thunder, chipping not very effective damage onto Raikou. Predicting another Thunder, Ryan is swapped for Sandals to absorb the Thunder attack. Pikachu uses Quick Attack, but Sandals attacks back with Earthquake, doing enough damage to take Pikachu down in one hit. Red sends out Venusaur, and meanwhile, we swap out Sandals for Lapala, the Lapras. Lapala uses Icy Wind, but instead it's a Deja Vu because the attack misses. Expecting the Solar Beam, Draylen the Dragonite is sent out to tank the hit. Oh, did I forget to mention that Draylen evolved into Dragonite? Yeah, that happened during some of our training. Alright, back to the battle. While Venusaur is setting up a sunny day, Draylen lands a risky Zap Cannon, causing Venusaur to become paralyzed. Using a super effective Fly, Draylen manages to take down Venusaur after just a few turns. Red sends out Blastoise, and I manage to swap out Ryan. The Raikou uses Flash to lower Blastoise's accuracy, but it still manages to land a Surf Attack. Raikou barely holds on, and with very little health remaining, expecting Red to be holding on to a few full restores, I decide to heal up Ryan with a Raikou, using a full restore myself. I recall in the past Red using full restores, so I'm pretty certain he has them. But during this battle, surprisingly enough, he didn't use it. Maybe it just didn't get triggered from his programming based on how much health his Pokemon had, but I wanted to play fair. Raikou strikes with a couple Spark attacks, leaving the Blastoise paralyzed. Now, I end up swapping Ryan for Victoria the Victory Bell. It manages to tank a Surf from Blastoise, and it gets off a strong Giga Drain, but it's just not enough to KO the Blastoise. This thing is tanky. Victoria is then struck with a super effective Blizzard, causing it to be the first of my team to go down. So we send out Ryan the Raikou again. Blastoise tries setting up another Rain Dance, but that gives us the opening to finish off the water type with one last Spark attack. Red is about to send out his very own Espeon. Up against Ryan, it's almost like Ryan and Evan have some kind of spiritual battling happening for that final slot on the team. Ryan uses Flash on Red's Espeon, while it sets up a Reflect, protecting his team from all my physical attacks for at least 5 turns. Espeon strikes with a powerful Psychic attack. Meanwhile, Raikou tries to get off another Flash to lower its accuracy. That enables Espeon's next move to miss, while Ryan lands a critical hit. Due to Flash, Espeon continues missing attacks, and Ryan just keeps landing Spark after Spark. But just before the Espeon's about to go down, it lands a Psychic on Raikou, knocking it out. In a way, it feels like Evan got revenge. Huh. So we send in Lapala the Lapras, and we exchange powerful blows between Psychic and Ice Beam. Lapala knocks out Espeon, but at the cost of nearly 1/4 of our health remaining. Red sends out his powerful Snorlax. This is not the kind of Pokemon to underestimate. Lapala attempts to corner Red with Perish Song, limiting the remaining turns for Snorlax down to 3. Snorlax lands a strong Body Slam, knocking out Lapras. We follow up by sending out Sandals the Sandslash, and we start using Rollout. It does little damage, but over time it builds and gets stronger with each turn. Red Snorlax buffs its special defense stat with Amnesia. Let's just hope that Amnesia extends to him forgetting that Perish Song is still active. Rollout continues, but Snorlax lands a strong Body Slam on Sandals, resulting in a paralysis, as our Sandslash is now slower. Knowing that Perish Song is about to take Snorlax out, Red decides to swap it out for his Charizard. But luckily for us, Sandals doesn't get paralyzed this turn, and it manages to land a monumental Rollout onto the Charizard. Sandals lands a one-hit KO. Now, down to his last Pokemon, Red sends out Snorlax once more. Perish Song is no longer active. We still have 3 Pokemon remaining, but the thing to keep in mind is that his Snorlax, ironically enough, is going to outspeed our Sandals, and he ends up KOing us with a Body Slam. So we send out our second to last Pokemon, Draylen the Dragonite, once again who lands another risky Zap Cannon, and now the tables have turned, causing Snorlax to become paralyzed. Draylen flies up, dodging Snorlax's attack, and comes back down, critically hitting with a Fly attack. Unfortunately, it's not enough to take out the bulky Snorlax, and it manages to land a Body Slam, knocking out Draylen. I'm down to my last Pokemon, my very first Pokemon. Tony Fuji, the Totodile, the one that never evolved, yet remains the highest level on the team, and yet still an entire 15 levels below the opposing Snorlax. With Snorlax paralyzed, and at low HP. Totodile tries to land a dynamic punch, but it misses. Snorlax lands a body slam, leaving Tony Fuji at low HP, and only one chance left to land a hit with a 50-50 chance. I call for Tony Fuji to try one more dynamic punch. And
Yes!
it connects. Snorlax, outsped by Totodile, goes down to a super effective dynamic punch. And we win. Red loses. We couldn't stay up here forever. But in that moment of accomplishment, it was as if time stood still.
We did it. We're up here, Mount Fuji. We just beat Red. Yes. Alright. Time to descend.
Now that we've reached the highest point and are on our way down, it is a blue sky. We've gotten this great glimpse of a blue sky.
Appreciate these guys letting us use the emergency head because frankly, the weather or the light is not ideal up here. Thank you. We beat Red on Mount Fuji. It's been a childhood dream.
As we bid farewell to our new friends on the 8th station, it was time to begin our descent.
All right. Now it's time for the hard part.
And now, with a lack of depth perception and about 5% of vision, I must say, this descent might as well have been the real challenge, but it also gave me a moment to reflect on why I embarked on this incredible journey. Born with a severe visual impairment, doctors had cautioned me that anything too visual or physically demanding might not be possible.
That's to make the screen on your game bigger. I don't think so.
However, Pokemon, from as early as I can remember, served as a constant source of motivation for adventure. These games were designed in a way that provided me with accessibility into the world of video games. Growing up with these games has not only brought countless friendships and cherished memories, but it's also ignited my dreams and motivated me to reach new heights. Literally. And now here I am, still living with blindness, but also I'm a filmmaker, content creator, host of my very own travel show. And I'm eager to take on new challenges, and I'm actively working in the gaming industry to make video games more accessible for individuals like myself. I'm proud of my unique perspective, and it has taught me the importance of empathy and understanding for others. This adventure may have come to a close, but whether it's in the game or out here, I'm still a trainer in life, and for every moment I have on this earth, I'll continue to train myself to be better than I was yesterday.
So you can hold me down, but I won't stop. Gonna push myself right to the top, and nothing's ever gonna drag me down. I'm on my way. As I go, you can follow. I know the steps to lead me home. So here I go. Here I go. You can follow. Here I go.
As I look back at Mount Fuji, there is still a summit to reach. And there happens to be a remake of Gold and Silver with as much heart and soul as the originals, as the journey continues.